Hello everybody, my name's Llama Joe and welcome to my channel. Alright, we are back with a letter. Heard some pretty disturbing news. Don't know who exactly is dead, but a member of Isabella's family is dead. And that is like, it took me by, like, I understand it's a game and it's a story and blah blah blah, but like, it took me by such surprise. Like, I honestly, like, I didn't know how to react. Like, that hit me out of nowhere. So, whoo. Yeah, so that was crazy. But let's let's get back into this. My God. It's a quiet ride up to the 7th floor where the BRC Luxburn main office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator's power on, just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. Which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I don't want to tire out too quickly, in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know. I swear, the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I've confirmed anything, those are still just stories. Worst things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risks. Best thing that can come out of this is that Isabella's right all along. Worst case scenario? 1. Someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this and her boss fires her. 2. I find evidence that would implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime, and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough, makes it inadmissible in court. Oh, I'll be honest. I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problems with the former. Isabella could also find a better job. BRC never did pay her properly, despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work with them?
Yeah, not going to happen.
Well, I got bad feeling about this elevator. But tonight, I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing that's what I'm good at. Uh-oh. 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 What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when a sitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those... is that Isabella? Oh. How she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time. How she's pretending as everything's normal. It's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know, will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca's probably not yet aware of this. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself after all. But it's all in her eyes when she glances up at the few light raps that give her the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and open it for me. There were even her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it. Okay, good.
Let you in?
Okay, good. It's actually Isabella. The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing is different from hearing it straight from her. I can't simply bring this up, can I? It's not a topic suited for casual conversation, and I doubt she wants me to talk about it. As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross, one that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figured I couldn't even do that for the one person I keep telling myself that I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
This is the closest we can get to it, I suppose. The light banner, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough. For me it is, because even without words, there's comfort. With her, it's easy.
Must be a pretty cool rock then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this the second we walked up the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from the place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concerns aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me. Not with all the problems on her plate right
Isabella?
now.
Seriously, Ash. Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fellow. Might be a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I'd hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record in case something goes wrong. However, the anxious look she shoots back at the table behind her bring an even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me and Rose.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here, even Sep. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Her hesitation's still there. Split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when nothing comes to mind, she steps aside.
But we can't take the original files out of this office, clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her. A nod, then shortly, and she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office. Force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxborn used to own this whole building. Woo, excuse me. Offices on several floors once upon a time when real estate is still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. Then competition showed up and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It only got worse as the years went by, or so according to the rumors. Now, the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign on the building's facade says. And frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce, as if the employees have gone on an exodus. That'll be the downsizing, probably. Still worrisome, though. Of course, I shake away all this when Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus. Frey. Oh, Focus Frey. Sorry. I was like, why does the last name Frey sound... Oh, because that's who I am. I'm an idiot. There's no point... God. Okay. There's no point in whining or dwelling any longer on it. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is. See, that's just weird, though. Like, I've never heard, like, someone talk to themselves in third person with the... I'd be like, man, focus, Michael. But, like, never, focus, Hannah. Because it's just so weird. Like, I've never used my last name as a... Oh, well. Isabella's presence is a whole other blessing, too. Couldn't imagine how long this would take if I pushed going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's an odd thing to bring up, but at least Alyssa will laugh for her before she heads for the records room. She remembers. And no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that the Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half of the hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts, the employee list, and stuff we won't need in a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration alone make up a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things as well documented. Hell, every single contractor who worked on the project were listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. It's a high-profile and high-cost estate, all right. But with that scope comes the loopholes. Means plenty of room to hide something in. There's something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern, and it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'd be surprising if they've managed to break even on their Ermengarde mansion. What with the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and other overhead fees. At one point, the negotiations to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down, too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested. This, plus the rumor that their branch is closing, BRC Luxburn really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No. They took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest.
That's not sketchy at all.
The rumors are true. Huh.
Seems so.
Sheesh, this place is just unlucky. Going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. This isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who, the people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion, and the how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors. They won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand. Even with 2 people working through the pile, the whole task still takes quite a while. It's a quarter of an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh and move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Oh, Luke can handwrite, but where are you, Ashton? I'm not. Maybe that's his. I don't know. I'm not seeing an Ashton Frey anymore. Something that gives me a laugh when I spy the fake name I wrote. Oh, okay. What was the fake name?
Pick this name. It sounds so lame.
Ashley. Is it Richard Frank? Yeah, because there's like 2. Is that 2 Hannah Wrights as well?
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have.
No,
We need to finish this
before
Seb suspects anything.
Yeah, the same names, just like namesake. I didn't see the top part because I'm not observant. I'm not good at observing things, apparently. Or is it? It's probably Ashley. Ashley. Yeah, it's probably it. She snatches the paper away before the thoughts of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's much secret in it. Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Ashley?
Yep, called it. Okay, glad I figured that out. I don't know why. Once I actually took a time to read through all the names, I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. I've been careless that day, tailing Luke Wright without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler's terribly efficient in keeping the Wright's engagements from the public eye, there are other ways if only I've given it the time of my day. In retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously? Ashley? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes, then drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back to my hands. We lapse back to our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah Wright listed up top. Not that I don't know about them already, of course, but scanning through the list, a name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes a careful read at the sheet. You know what's really weird? Like, I noticed the very first name I noticed on this was Madeline Williams. So, I don't know. It's weird. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
Oh. There was a ruckus at the precinct the day her family filed it. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later. Desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have just to find her. To no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them, but what can he do? What can we do? He's tied, we're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do with everything that's been shoved in our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
She did. Isabella makes no further comment aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling to a fist as she struggles with her. Frustration? Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last too long. Soon her grip loosens and she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, is one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss but many, who carries it on her shoulders like a badge of shame? I've yet to find the answer to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward. Press on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of that look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde, one I recall from the newspaper obituaries. Died of heart attack. A letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at age 74 in her sleep.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Oh, was it, right? I'd like to believe so. But 3 more letters turn up when I rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to the families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Regardless, these go into the pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with the Williams info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day, and here I am wondering if they're all alright. It isn't a selfless thought that brings the question to mind, rather, it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course. There are just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done with the sign-in sheets, I stash along with the growing pile to my left and pull out as many of the other documents as Isabella has already prepared for me. This is going to be a longer episode. It's very clear they're doing a lot of investigation work, and there isn't going to be a scene change for a while, so I apologize. But, I mean, I cut a couple ones short, so, especially the last one, so we're good. We're working through the employee lists now, those who have been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter. I need to know everyone who is possibly read aside from the 3 of us. They've been noticing strange things too, for all I know. These may have just been a terrible coincidence. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into the BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there were 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius Jean-Marie, the estate appraiser.
The C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
C, not Sy.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent.
Oh.
He kept screaming about a woman.
Yikers. Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but that is exactly what
It
happened.
was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Yikes.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean-Marie, on the other hand, his employee file notes his date of leaving and when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Uh-oh. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail's often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This has never reached the police's ears or the health and safety
Do you
executive.
know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media. They've kept it from the police. It's not surprising this will also be a secret from someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business going under and someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute. Yeah, well, nevertheless, I hand the files for Isabella to make a
The
copy
pages
of.
with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things you really can't just brush off as a mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially the thing with Psy? I guess, yeah, right? C? I can't remember how they say. It's too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in, yep. Somehow the way she hugs the folders close to herself makes it seem heavier. Like she's hanging onto it in the same manner one will latch onto a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive. Might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
Okay. For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question in her face. Then, in a too abrupt motion, she turns toward the copier and gets to work. Soon, only the machine's constant thrum. I keep deciding. I'm waiting for a scene change. I'm waiting for an actual scene change. Soon, only the machine's constant thrum fills the air around us while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, to put it mildly, disturbing at worst. I've gotten so used to letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire makes her antsy. But at the same time, she's learning how to not be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I've told her yesterday before agreeing to any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed people to change, after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and charged, what is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all of this hindsight right after you've already ran your mouth off.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this?
Yikes. I'm going... Well, right now, I think I'm only like 5 minutes over.
This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut.
I think.
And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't.
Oh, first let's read that journal entry. To confirm their suspicions, Isabella helped Ashton break into the Briar Realty Corporation's Luxburn office that night. There, the files they found revealed the real deal with the mansion's sale that was unknown even to Isabella, and something possibly more terrible.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
There's the reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends throughout the room, denser compared to the ones we've shared tonight. Behind me, I can still hear her movements, sharp and precise, while she feeds the originals to the machine. Then with one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffles lightly against the floor when she moves away. Something creaks softly, probably the table, as she settles her weight against its side. By this time, an apology is already at the tip of my tongue,
Belle,
but...
I'm...
Papa's...
Oh, we're gonna do this right now?
Papa's gone, Ash.
Oh, no. Oh, my heart. Oh. Oh. I can't end it here. I can't do it. I want to so bad because it's a perfect time, but I can't. I gotta finish this up. I'm sorry, guys. Woo! Within those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of her words sinks. Oh my god. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible not to be acquainted with it. But this is different from those dead bodies we examined in forensic. A far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Whew. Alright. Oh my god. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments. No need for pretenses. Yet somehow I still find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words that'll comfort that dull pain. Because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough. Her pain, an immutable weight hanging over us. Man, this shit came in. Oh. So gently I offer. Just stay no, don't be a fucking dick. No, we're
When?
not. Hell yeah. Oh, and I'm already like 25 minutes. 10 minutes over, 25 minutes in this.
Huh?
Oh well.
When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass, while we both simply stand there waiting. Eventually, she exhales. Lightly muted enough that I might have missed it had I not been paying attention to her every movement.
Yesterday,
Oh.
around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
She trails off, releases another ragged breath hidden underneath her chuckles. Each one's mirthless, heavy with nothing but sorrow. Then she falters into silence, and for all my attempts at lighting her burden, I'm suddenly at a loss. Reassurances could only do so much when her only reason for staying here was suddenly been taken away from her. A hope yanked from under her feet right after it was generously given. Oh, God. And without that, without the one person who pushes her to endure all the shit we're going through, she's going through, means nothing but a struggle. What does one say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin and breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I cannot give her anything, apart from lies that change me as a person and affection she may or may not even want for herself. Because no matter how easy she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her presence has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else. For home.
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
Silence again, as if she's testing the weight of my question. For what purpose it is, for a reason even I can't say right now. After a while, though, she starts, reluctantly, her voice hitching, faltering, and stumbling on each syllable as she chooses her words. A rough start, but soon it steadies. And along with it, to keep company the stories from childhood and memories she's fond of. Oh! Are the tears. Well, we're definitely going to end it here. And I am not about to end my recording on this episode. That's not about to happen. So, okay, I mean, for the night. I gotta do one more. We gotta get past this shit because this is destroying me. It's like stabbing my heart. I'm like, oh no, it hurts so much. It's so sad. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It seems so trivial now, even though this is a complete fictional character. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Oh boy, and I'll do the best I can to make it right. I'm Llama Joe. God, this is rough. And I'll catch you guys later.